Hey everyone, welcome back to AFTV and welcome to the four of us reviewing All or Nothing, episodes 4, 5 and 6. I think we're really excited about this one because they gave us a little bit more than 1, 2 and 3, in my opinion. But that's what we're going to break down. There's lots to talk about, from the Aubameyang stuff to the way Arteta was portrayed in this, to a lot of the time we got with the families as well, more so Arteta and Xhaka in particular, and some other bits and bobs, you know, Steve Round's involvement. There was a lot. There's a lot to talk about. But I want to start by just doing some quick fire questions, if you guys don't mind. I'm going to start with you, Robbie, really quickly. Which game, at the very start of episode 4, was Arteta losing his mind at? Because it took me a while to kind of, I wasn't really sure. Do you remember it? I think you were just doing a good
soft! He's soft! You fucking soft! That's what he was doing.
I just called it a good impression.
Right, I thought, was it Everton?
Well,
I was trying to work out what game.
Same.
Well, the thing
There's
was,
quite a few of them that we were soft.
I was thinking, what game around there were we awful? And then I looked it up in the calendar. I think it was the Sunderland game.
Yeah, he speaks about rhythm. He was like, rhythm. That's how you beat them, rhythm.
He went at Flo Balogun, do you remember?
Yeah.
He went at Flo for a sec there. So I was looking at the team, Leno was in goal. I think it was Sunderland, because I remember being on the watch-along for that game.
But it was an away game.
No, it was home game. I think we were at home. Because
Didn't he lift up a thing and throw it down? And
Oh, that was Forrest a bit later.
He flipped a couple of times.
Yeah, he did a few times in this episode, he flipped. I think it was a Sunderland game because we played terribly in that first half. We were 2-1 up.
You sure the change room was at home?
Yeah, it was because Balogun. I remember the picture of him, Balogun sitting down, and he's.
There were quite a few. There were quite a few. I'm going to come to Turkish on this one. The destination or the journey?
Class. How did Laka get that wrong though? Sorry, I know it's your question.
No, I feel for Laka. I'm not going to lie. I like a lot of what Arteta does in the pre-match or whatever. But that whole thing, I was like, that's a trick question.
But what do you think?
What did he say? He said company in it, didn't he?
Yeah,
the company.
It's neither, but
it's both. He's saying basically, it's all together. It is what it is. I do like the next 3 episodes we've just seen. I like it a lot more than what the first 3 episodes in terms of the way Mikel Arteta's come across. In the first 3, it was more storytelling. It was more leaning on past experiences. This one here is more of an old school type of management. He's flipping out, and you need to flip sometimes.
Yeah.
For a man to really understand.
I agree. Well, speaking of that intensity, you've been a player before, Sess. Would you have liked Arteta's intensity if you were a player? Those are words that Holding, Tierney.
This guy would call his mum like, hey, he just shouted at me.
He called me fucking soft. We were winning.
Find me another club.
Because Holding and Tierney spoke to Arteta's intensity, and something you'd have liked?
the intensity, the detail that he puts in, I'd have respected, and he wants everyone to progress and be a better player. So that I would definitely appreciate. And sometimes, the flipping, I can react to at times. He's not throwing things at me and going too mad. He's just being open and honest about how he's feeling. And I think I'd react in a positive way to that. In a cool spectrum. Say, let's move, club.
Turkish. I have to come to you with this one. Did Richard Garlick, who I think we've got to talk about in a bit,
Yeah.
Did Richard Garlick confirm that we were never in for Vlahovic?
More or less, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
You could see what January was all about. It was all about, sorting out the other situation. Obviously, people might say, but we had to sort that out before we moved forward. But at the same time, we didn't leave ourselves in the best position when we did move forward out of January. So, I think it confirms that Vlahovic was never... Because that would have told us...
I don't think it did. I think that I think they styled that documentary to make it look like... But at the start of the transfer window, they were looking at a midfielder. They were looking at Vlahovic. Remember, Vlahovic, very early in the window, said, I'm not coming. I want to go to Juventus. I'm not interested in Arsenal, right? So that's when, they knew they weren't going to get Vlahovic. And they were chasing Arthur Melo literally right till the end of the transfer window to try and get a loan move. And that's where a little bit with me on this show, I'm like, it's a little bit managed a bit, right? Because there's no mention of those things, despite the fact that we went our whole transfer window without signing one player. And I'm sure we'll get to it later.
Yeah,
but
I think it would have been better for them,
even
though.
the players at the end of it saying, "Oh, we've got a really thin squad." How many times I heard the players say that? They were saying it themselves. Yeah.
But the board were
as
heavy
if to
on-
say everyone's
Fair
gone,
points,
man.
some
We've got.
fair
to-
points there,
But I
to be
do
fair.
think it would have been better for Arsenal and it would have been better for Amazon if they had that January transfer window where you saw Edu trying to call for
Yeah, no,
Vlahovic
it would
and
have
so
been.
on.
But what I'm saying is, there's no mention of
Anything.
and I think they were trying to do business. They just didn't get any of it done.
But there is a mention
Right.
to say that they had to get rid of Aubameyang first before they start going in.
Did they? They didn't specifically say that.
No, but that was very clear from the board when they were discussing that. That is the main focus, is getting him out of the club first. 'Cause they
that
won't
was
release
always
those
going to
funds.
be. I think that was always going to be a big focus. He's such a big player, and it's such a difficult thing to. Hence why. I mean, we'll get to that later, but
Well,
hence why. But I just think, you know,
Let me ask you, Robbie, the use of the Ivan Toney tweet before Brentford, you like that?
loved that.
Yeah,
Loved that.
class.
Yeah, you use those things.
class.
Those things I loved about Arteta. Yeah, you use those things. The guy was dissing us last time. Look what the guy said about us. We go out there and, you know what I mean, stick
Say
it
yes
on these
across
guys.
the boards, yeah?
100%.
Yeah, love that.
The
I'm
niceties
good.
of football of coming out of the game, and him to try and reinstill that in the boys to be physical and
Did it a few
aggressive.
times with Wolves as well.
Yeah.
He said, remember what they said, you know.
Yeah,
and
Over
then-
celebrating,
Yeah.
go and go
All
and
right,
prove
and the last one before we get into the Aubameyang stuff, and that's where we're really going to get into the crux of all this. Mikel's catalogue of misdemeanours. Again, I've mentioned before, you've kind of been a player. If a manager comes up to you with a dossier of everything you've done wrong, how are you feeling about that?
kills your confidence a little bit. But I'm going to be honest, he puts the most pressure on the players. So there's no, when we talk about we put pressure on players and fans doing, we want the best out of them, I think him as a manager puts so much pressure on them. So I've got to give the players credit for rising to that and sticking with it, because he clearly looks at these players in full detail. What they say, he said he's going to spend like 15 hours or 16 hours going through all the team and analysing them when he should have been off.
Edu asked him, you're going to take some time off. He went,
I think
I'm going to study the whole team.
That is, that is
15 hours. I'm like, oh my God.
That is levels of perfection that he's trying to get out of his team, and I'm gonna be honest, I've got a lot of time for that. If I was a player in that situation, it might be a bit different. But as a fan seeing that, I'm happy to see that.
I think much was made out of nothing there. I think if there's anyone out there that watched it that's managed people before, it's a very normal thing to do.
Yeah.
Especially in pressure cooker environments. In any business, it's not just football, it's a very normal thing to do. If there's disciplinary issues, or on the flip side, if there's things to praise and there's pros, that gets noted down as well. So I just think it's a very normal thing to be doing.
And that's just absolutely
Yep.
spot on. Right, let's
Oh,
get
wait a
into it.
minute. You missed one, right? You've all... I don't know if you guys didn't see this. I picked this up in the programme, right? Right? I nearly fell off my chair with laughter, right? When I heard this, right? Granit Xhaka, he came back into the change room and he's turned around to him and goes, "Get the ball forward, forward,
Yeah,
forward,
I've got that, I've got
sideways."
that,
I'm
I've got
like, yo, who's saying that? I go, "Is that Granit Xhaka?"
I got that.
Did you see that?
I got that in my notes.
I thought that would have been your first
I
one.
didn't want to mention it because you know what people think.
Like
be
Granit
honest.
Xhaka goes, "Get it forward."
Granit had a few moments.
Too
in
much
there.
backwards, sideways. I'm like, what?
Nah.
I go, Granit. I go, all right.
Granit had some moments. Listen, blaming Saka for his red card. Oh,
I think a lot of that was
thing
in
as well.
banter, though.
That was what you said.
When he was, yeah, I think people, that one I wouldn't take the wrong way, because I think that was like a bit of banter. They were going back and forth. I don't think he was seriously blaming him.
Okay.
I think it's the right message, wrong person.
Yeah, of all
Because Saka was wrong in that situation. He should be moving, he should be passing the ball forward or getting rid of it, making sure it's safe. He didn't.
Yeah.
But the person delivering that message
Yeah,
can't
he
be
did-
someone
he
who's
did-
cost us
actually,
as well.
he made a good point, because he said, like, almost what he was saying. I remember the game. I was at the game, right? He was isolated, like with about 3 players coming in on, and it was just he was the only person back. So I think he was trying to make that point, but he was doing it in a fun. I think that was like fun. They weren't like.
They clearly have a good relationship with him.
Yeah.
Anthony says, just it goes to show how us fans are too quick to judge. Aubameyang clearly had problems when Arteta has files in him. Let's do it. Let's get into the Aubameyang stuff, right? Because we left the last review having a little bit of a mini debate, a start of a debate around how much we were going to get out of this. Now, whether we got as much as we all wanted, that's our own opinion. That's what we want out of it. You know, you can't disagree. But for what I expected, which was a little bit, I'm pleasantly surprised by how much we got on the Aubameyang stuff.
Yeah.
But you're not as convinced.
Well, I didn't really learn anything new. I mean, basically what we saw is what we knew. We knew that there was a falling out between him and Aubameyang, and that he'd, stripped him of the captaincy. We knew that. that he dropped him even before that in the North London derby, didn't let him play, we knew that. Then that he got banished from the team, we knew that. All it did was show us that, but it didn't really give us any of the reasons why. They were said he had these dossier of misdemeanors. He'd said that in a lot of press conferences. He didn't say the dossier, but he said, listen, there were non-negotiables that thing. I never learnt what those none of them non-negotiables were. And at no time in that documentary did we hear anything from Aubameyang. His side of the story. Now, to me, you know what I mean, you can first of all, let me just make it straight. I commend Mikel Arteta because he made his decision, a very tough decision, and he stuck by it. And that, remember, even some of the board members were sort of like, hey, listen, man, this guy's a big player.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean, it's going to be a big hassle to get rid of him and that. And he still said, nope, these are the values of the club. He even went on to say, you know, in the past, there's been too many men doing this. He stuck by his decision. Fair play to him, and I respect that because we're seeing at the moment with Ten Hag and the Ronaldo situation, that's a similar situation that needs somebody to be tough there, and no one's getting tough.
You're right.
They're all scared to make that decision. They know that really they've got to clamp down on Ronaldo. They're even trying to bring in Fergie to mediate and stuff like that. So he made a tough decision and he stuck by it. But if you ask me if I learned anything new, I didn't, because I never heard nothing from Aubameyang. All I saw was him being banished. He trained with the coach. He never complained about training with on his own. And you never really heard anything from his side. So I've not really learnt anything. There's a little bit more insight into what we were told happened, seeing it, but that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe not learnt something, but I think it tied up loose ends. I think off the back of that January move for Oba, we heard a lot about him being late in, was it December? But a lot of the story was he was late back in terms of his flight, but he was on time for training. That was the story then. But it comes out that he wasn't on time for training. So obviously then that story is altered a little bit. And in terms of the dossier or the file, he mentions Oba's been late multiple times.
Yeah, but I knew that already. He'd already said that before.
Yeah, well, we know the Tottenham one from this last season.
No, but even like at the time, there was that, that came out that he's been late multiple times.
Yeah, we know, yeah.
So, but late multiple times, you'd lose the captaincy, I get that. But to me, I still feel there must be more to it than being late multiple times to throw you out of the club.
I think maybe the attitude.
We don't want you. We don't want. Yeah. So
he said the quote is he's been late apart from all the issues many times. I think there's other issues. I don't think it's.
Yeah. So I would have loved to know what those issues are.
I know, but
because I
can't.
can't.
Be small things from the manager that build. That's why he had a.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if you're saying you've learnt a lot, right?
They show you a lot.
Is it enough to throw? If I'm running a business, right, and somebody's late, right, quite a few times, that wouldn't be enough probably for me to say. It'd be maybe enough for me to remove them from a senior manager role, but I don't think that'd be enough for me to sack that person completely unless it'd been literally every single game. So there must be more to it, and that's what I'm saying. I never learnt none of the more to it because I feel there's obviously other things that have gone on there. That they obviously didn't. I knew they wouldn't show it because there's always going to be legal things. There's always going to be. It's just that, like, when I was talking to people, like, last season, they were like, "Yeah, we're going to find out everything." I said, "You won't. You won't find out everything. You'll just,
That's what it looked like. It got a bit personal because there was that moment where Oba was driving out and then the camera panned into him and he said something like, "They want me to speak to him again," and he made a little face. Now, we heard the reasons for Oba flying out. It was some family-related matter.
Yeah.
Now, if I put myself in those shoes and I'm going away for a family-related matter, and yes, I'm late back, and I understand I'm late back, but if my manager's overzealous in the way he's approached me being late back when I've gone to look after my mum or some family, I'm going to get my back up about it.
That's why I would have liked to have heard a bit more from the players' side. Even when I watched that Tottenham documentary, you heard a little bit from Danny Rose about what he was upset about. I've been to see, I've even been to see Levy, and you wanted to see Levy. You heard a bit from in this, you heard nothing, right? So there's something deeper that's gone on because all the players were all the players there, for instance, they were like, "Oh, we miss him. We miss Aubameyang, he's a great guy to have around the place and that, but the manager's made his decision." So none of them had a problem with him. So it can't just be he was late.
It was
There's got to be more.
listen,
It's got to be deeper.
No, I agree.
It was definitely personal because it says when Eddie was saying, listen, the relationship between Arteta and Aubameyang is at 0. That's what he says. He's downstairs. It's at 0, so you're gonna have to really try. Also, the fact that he said, obviously Aubameyang did his letter as well when he left, and he said, you know, it was between him and Arteta. That was the reason. So it was definitely personal, but. I still feel from it. I think they showed a lot. They spent two episodes on it. I feel they showed enough in there.
You can't avoid it, can you? This is the biggest story one of the biggest stories of the season. The fact that he got, you know, he's a captain of the team, he's a star player, he's the biggest earner, he got banished completely from the team and then moved on. So you can't ignore it. But I'm just saying, personally, I learnt nothing new. All I saw is I could put, you know, a little bit of context to what we were told, but I've not heard his side. I would love to hear his side. I'm not saying his side is right. Right? You shouldn't be late. You're the captain. There's no way you should be. You should be the first one there.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't be late. But I've learned, like I said, I would like to hear his side. You know, I mean, like you just described there. If you come back late from going to see your mum, what was the context around it? Why would he be? What, you know, is there something around it that wasn't taken into account? All those things we didn't learn.
It struck me as the documentary not trying to tear Aubameyang apart, but also trying to do Arteta justice in the decision. Yeah. They even round off the whole thing with Mikel Arteta saying, ultimately my memories are kind of good ones, essentially.
Yeah.
On a nice note. So I think they wanted to say, listen, there's a long list of reasons why this is happening, but we're not going to be rattling off every single one of this documentary because we're not trying to humiliate the guy who's moved on now. And actually, ultimately, Edu and whoever he was talking to from Barcelona were kind of saying, ultimately, it's kind of a good deal for everyone. We've got what we wanted out of it, players, wages off the books, whatever, and they've got a good player.
Yeah. Sorry to cut, James. What I liked about, what I did learn was some of the sort of, when it comes to transfer business, right, the shenanigans that go on, the way Barcelona waited till the last minute trying to squeeze Arsenal. And then in the end, they came to the table and did the deal for it was a season-long loan, wasn't it? Until the end of the season, wasn't it?
Actually,
Arsenal terminated the contract. But
they
this is the brinkmanship that goes on in transfers. That's the one bit that was very interesting for me.
Sorry, Jay. So just quickly, the quote here: the club don't have traditions for high-paid players like this. Does that change anything? Is it for you guys to say that when you sign this new deal and anything, that the attitude changed from Aubameyang, and that's where?
Yeah, but you're speculating. You've not.
No, I'm giving you the quote.
No, hold on. You said to me earlier you learnt a lot, right?
Yeah.
You're speculating everything. You didn't learn that. We've told.
That's a quote, Rob.
No, hold on. We were told all those things. Non-negotiables. Arteta came out press conference after press conference and said these are non-negotiables. If you play for this club, and I love that. I respect that. You know what I mean? He's right as well.
Yeah, he's trying to set traditions.
Right, man. Yeah, I mean, if you play for the club, it doesn't matter who you are. Whether you be Aubameyang or whether you be, you know what I mean, Charlie Patino. He's right there when he says, you know what I mean, same values for everybody. So I get it. I'm just saying that I never heard nothing from Aubameyang's side. I would have liked to have heard some of his side.
That is fair. I've got to say, for everything that went on and the standards are the first thing that should be considered at the club. It wasn't actually the most pleasant thing.
It's a bit sad.
Yeah, watching him with the trainer. So you got to. I need to tell myself something went on to a point where that had to be warranted. Because if it wasn't, the players you see them in the canteen looking out. Oh, Aubameyang, what's going on? I think Holding was talking about it. You don't play for that manager when you're seeing someone treated like that. If you don't, within you, feel like it's somewhat merited. It was sad to watch. I didn't like it.
Sometimes in that moment, the manager's looking at the player to react positively.
Yeah. That's true.
And potentially, Auba didn't react at all. That's why it took so long for us to sort the situation out from when he first got dropped to selling him. So maybe
it was quite a long period, wasn't it?
Yeah, like the ball's in your court now. Are you going to come back? Maybe apologise. Maybe own up for some of the mistakes.
Those are see. That's what Turkish. That's what I was hoping that maybe you might see something like that. Right, I've asked him to apologise about this and that, but he hasn't. But it wasn't. It was just literally just.
But he turned up every day to train, and some players take that. I've been there before, and some players take that as enough. Like, I'm here. I know I'm not with the squad, but I'm turning up every day, so I do care. But that might be the conversation didn't happen.
And it was interesting, like I said, that the players were. Yeah. You know, they all still liked him.
Yeah, Ramsdale said
they were missing him and
That's
stuff
the biggest thing, because in a few years, let's say he becomes a top manager, this is a moment that molds his reputation.
Yeah.
But give it up to him, man. He stuck to his decision. He was like,
Well, he did.
My decision. Even though when some of the board members go, listen, man.
Yeah,
so that was one of the things I really wanted to touch on. You asked what we learned, and actually, I've got a quote here from Edu. He says, "No, it's not easy to support Arteta and Aubameyang. The fans love him. The players love him. This is a guy who scored a lot of goals for us. But ultimately, he stuck by his guy." That was very interesting to me because I always kind of see them all as totally in unison. Whereas what I actually felt from this episode was a degree of Arteta. And actually, by the way, I was impressed by Edu and Richard Garlick and Vinay and the bits I saw. But Arteta almost having to drag them a little bit, like, stick to your guns, believe this is the right way.
Tough decision
There
to
was
make.
a little bit of, I'm not sure about this, which I thought was really interesting seeing that contrast. I like this quote from Arteta. He said, we have to set ourselves bigger standards. And then later in the quote he says, what we are building is against any behaviour like that. I think he said that in Dubai. This is a good 4 weeks on from it. He was always so fixated on this point until it was absolutely sorted out. And then I've got to say, and this was for me one of the best moments behind Ramsdale's dad being one of the bits that kind of made me laugh the most so far in the whole series, is the interaction between, I can't remember who came in, I think it was the press officer, sent to Edu, Aubameyang's in Barcelona.
Yeah.
Really? That was gold. And then he says to his representative, we're in Disneyland, are we?
Disney World, you go Disneyland World.
What's going? And I have to say, I really enjoyed that because that for me, while I probably could have guessed that the situation was something like that, it was good to see.
That was a bit of insight into the transfer. It was very one-sided, though. Let's be real. Of
course.
If you're a player in Aubameyang's position, right, you want to find a club. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be just coming in every day and just training. So
but he should have been training, though.
Yeah, but that was on transfer deadline day. If you're sniffing a move to Barcelona and you're having a terrible time,
Rob, are you going to admit they showed more than you expected?
Oh, I'm not going to admit it. What? I don't know, maybe because I've done a couple of documentaries, so I know they put these things together. I knew I weren't really going to learn nothing new on that situation, and I learned nothing new on that situation.
But it showed.
What did you learn new?
No, listen.
They showed you. They put context.
They showed way more than I expected.
They put context to what you were taught, to what was out there. Yeah. But what did you learn new? What did you learn? What do you think Aubameyang's feelings were?
The fact that Edu, Vinay and Garlic wanted to reintegrate him, that was new to
even
me.
Richard
I
Garlic
really thought everyone was in unison about he's gone. And actually,
I think after a while they were in unison that he was gone, innit? Because they decided then that they're going to completely back their man. But I think at the time, when I don't know, because I do the transfer show, at the time there were rumours that there was people within the club that wanted to reintegrate him back into the club. So I knew that already, and I've not learned anything new. I'm sorry. And then, if anything, I feel that they kind of conveniently missed out the whole Vlahovic thing. They've conveniently missed out the whole sort of any transfer activity around that time. And at the end of that window, we left ourselves short. Yeah. And you even heard players, as I said, saying, "Oh well, the squad's really thin."
That's a good
not,
point.
And let's remember that ultimately that would go on to cost us the top four for the season. So
true.
Tough decision made, brilliant. Love that, because as I said, you're seeing at Man United at the moment that they're incapable of making a tough decision. And Arteta stuck to his guns, but we didn't bring in a striker. And ultimately, right, those no striker, no midfield cost us.
I believe that's because
the top four.
They were trying to move out of Aubameyang. That's why I really believe that January window was. I believe that's what they portrayed it. It was.
But you got to replace. You have to replace him.
Yeah, I agree with that. But it took so long to get him off the wage bills and all that and whatnot. I think that is what.
No, but he's going.
That.
He's going.
They didn't know. You just said at Barcelona.
No, hold on. No. He's going. That's not been explained in the thing. He's going. You don't have to even buy a player. You can loan players. You can do anything. This is none of it. It's just completely ignored.
Do you know where I'm with Robbie? Where I am actually with Robbie. They sort of twisted January into a little bit of a success story because Arteta won the Aubameyang battle and they've got rid of him at the 11th hour.
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually,
that was sorted, but what else?
The main story of January was the lack of reinforcements, the letting Maitland-Niles go, the lack of depth we had going.
Yeah, they were saying in themselves in the documentary, we've left ourselves short.
Yeah,
right?
But otherwise I love that episode.
I love the episode, but what did that go on to do? that went
Cost
on
us.
to ultimately cost us getting into the top 4, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And a lot of fans' opinions, because we just didn't bring in any replacements. You heard fans, even at the end of the window, that they interviewed on the programme saying that, you know, we ain't brought no one in. You know what I mean? Was it, you know?
Well,
So it's very well put together, like you said, well put together to look. It was such a tough
Where was
thing.
Amazon when Arteta went to Josh Kroenke in America? Why didn't they cover that one in January?
that's a really good point.
Why didn't they cover Arteta and Edu talking about transfers maybe?
But I get where Cecil's coming from.
Yeah.
We got more than I personally. I expected there to be a fair amount, but even I was a bit like, wow, I wasn't expecting this much
Facts.
in terms of pure hours dedicated to the Aubameyang thing. I thought they'd kind of fly over it. But to round off on the Aubameyang stuff, I know Robbie's right. We haven't heard Aubameyang's
It's
side.
his
Someone
side,
actually on
that's
Twitter was
true.
someone on Twitter was sort of saying, "Isn't it great how blah blah?" I was like, listen, like it looks good and it doesn't look great on Aubameyang, but we don't know everything. Your instinct, Turkish. Did Arteta deal with it right?
Yeah.
Cess?
Yes, but the only thing I agree with Robbie is we didn't obviously hear his side. Even when he was partying in Gabon, when he was away for African Cup of Nations, they didn't show any of what he was doing or what his point from that side. So yeah, I think he was right overall, Arteta, with what he did.
It's hard for me to say because I think, listen, I back him for making a tough decision, right? He's the manager at the end of the day. If he doesn't fancy Aubameyang, it doesn't really matter what Aubameyang's feelings, whatever. He's made his decision, so I applaud him for that. But if you say made the right decision, I can't really tell you because I don't really know I still don't know exactly what got it to absolute rock bottom there, apart from he turned up late a few times.
Yeah.
What else? What else is it? You know what I mean? A lot of players turn up late. What got it to such a bad situation that you like, I don't want him, you know, because remember that was going on before the transfer window. That was going on from December, the start of
Do
December.
you think Pep and Klopp would accept players being late?
Pep or Klopp? I really don't know, you know, because we don't know. I don't think they would on the long term. No.
Yeah, I'd assume not.
I don't think they would on a long term, but would they throw them out of the club? Or is there something, that's what I'm saying, is there
Pep's fallen out with a fair few
Is there
stars.
other, yeah, that's true. Is there other things he's done that's, you know what I mean, like you said, like, was there a situation, this is what I would have loved to know, was there a situation where maybe even Arteta said, right, you know what, you've done this, you've done that, I'm going to take the captaincy away. If you want to be in the team now, you need to do such and such, and I want to hear an apology about that. And maybe there was some big falling out where Aubameyang said, no, I ain't doing that, and then he just said, oh you've done it.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know, I would have liked to have learned those things. I knew we wouldn't learn that, but it would have been nice to, and maybe 5-10 years down the line, a book comes out, we might find out a bit more. But we didn't really learn. But listen, at the end of the day, he's a manager, and it's his decision. My only problem with that decision at the time is that we didn't replace him.
Yeah.
I said it at the time. Where's the replacement, man?
Yeah, that's fair.
You know what I mean? And then what did we suffer from then till the end of the season? Even they picked up a bit on it in the other documentaries. We ain't scored no goals.
Yeah. They did show a few clips of, I think it was Baz, Rory Jennings and Jess saying, you know, we've not replaced him, what's going on? So I think they did cover some of the fans feeling around that Edu's doubts. We're going to move on from the Aubameyang stuff, get into the comments in a sec. Just on that section, because his role was largely in the Aubameyang stuff. I don't know why. I want to big up Richard Garlick. I don't know. I've got no idea why. They're always going to sort of show the best. But
I thought we didn't do anything. It's good that I learned they did quite a bit.
We attribute everything to Edu, and of course Garlick's kind of by his side, and we actually did know that, so maybe we should be giving him more credit. But I like this quote when he said we're at the start of this process, when he in January was talking about the changes. Now, obviously Arteta's process and his arrival was a good year and a half before Richard Garlick arrived, which was January 2021. I wonder if the club, and it's something I've theorised for a while, if the club saw the summer of 2021 as what did we do signing Willian? What did we do giving Aubameyang this contract? What did we do getting the likes of Mari and Runnison in, who weren't really going to improve, a Cedric who were just going to do a job for now, and saw the signings of 6 players between 21 and 23 as the start of the process. That has been my feeling for a while. I'm not saying it's right. I just think that's how they view it internally. I think Richard kind of confirmed that a little bit.
Coming from who?
Richard Garlick. I think him, Edu...
No, but I mean, whose idea was it to have that sort of a summer?
I think him, Edu and Arteta, after the horrific 2021 season, the performances we got from Willian, Aubameyang's form dropping, everything, I think they just said, rip it up, start again. We've got these young players, let's go. That's my theory.
Yeah, I saw him more as an advisor in it. I think it comes down to Edu and Arteta really, but I saw him as an advisor. Vinay the same way, maybe comes in and has a few words, but in terms of footballing...
Sorry, yeah, he definitely as an advisor. I mean, just that quote when he said we're at the start of this process, I think echoed what I thought the people internally kind of made of...
Well, I think Richard Garlick's job is to kind of complete these deals, isn't it?
Sure.
This is like Edu and Arteta would identify players and maybe speak to the player and stuff like that, but the actual specifics of completing a deal and getting all the legal stuff done, getting all the transactional stuff done, and that's his job. A very important job at football clubs that you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you know, I think it kind of showed him doing that role, which is a very important role.
Yep, the comments are saying, David says, there's no guarantee that keeping Aubameyang in January would have helped us get to the top 4. His form was poor. Chasman says, no player is bigger than the team. And I think that was really the message that came across. Matthew says, it's made me fall in love with the coach and the players. I'm all in with this team. Some people talking about Aubameyang maybe going to Chelsea. That is something that we've covered actually on the Forever Arsenal podcast coming out a little later today. Jay Brooks says, not at all. Pep wouldn't take this nonsense, Robbie.
I didn't say he would.
No. Yeah.
I tell you, listen, it's not just Pep. I think a lot of managers, if you're the captain, I wouldn't take it. If you're in charge and you keep turning up late all the time, it's not right. Yeah. No one's. I'm not complaining about what happened. I'm not even complaining. I'm just saying that for me, I would have loved to have heard the other side as well.
No, I hear
There's
that.
2 sides to every story.
Yeah.
I only heard one side, and you can nice it up on one side. You can make it. You can dress it up, and we can also. But you've not really heard the other side. And in talking to footballers in the past, man, about certain things that have happened, and then hearing their side, it's not always what it seems. You know, I remember speaking to the agent of Adebayor about his move away from Arsenal, and when I heard the actual what happened, I'm like, ooh, we all actually slaughtered Adebayor, but actually when you actually heard his side of the story and you get the details of it, maybe we shouldn't have, because he didn't want to leave. Yeah, so,
his agent's a liar, man. Adebayor was flirting with AC Milan after 6 good months at Arsenal. I never forget.
No, apparently on it is like, at first he wanted to, he was sort of like, actually, his head had been turned by these things. But then when they sat him down and they said, listen, man, look what Arsenal's given you. Look at these fans. He actually changed his mind and said, you know what, you're right. I'm being a bit, I don't want to leave. And so he went to Arsenal and said, I don't want to leave. And they said, well, we want the money.
Yeah,
so there's always other sides to, there's sometimes there's other reasons. So I would have liked to have known a bit more detail, but hey, listen, my big beef is we never replaced. We should have brought in another striker. It wasn't a matter of keeping Aubameyang. I could see the writing on the wall even before we got to the transfer window. Remember, the whole of December he didn't play.
Yeah, because someone said that keeping Aubameyang doesn't guarantee top 4. It doesn't, but leaving yourself short doesn't put you in the best position.
We had Lacazette, who even in the programme, they're saying he's not scoring goals. They're having to show him videos of Benzema and stuff like that. Right? They had Eddie, who they were just bringing into the squad, and him saying, he's a youth player who's coming in, he did well in the under-21s, he's saying it in the thing, and they didn't bring in a replacement. And in the end, we didn't get into the top 4 because we didn't win enough games, we didn't score goals.
They still showed more than I expected. I'm going to keep saying it because we spent most of the show talking about Aubameyang, and I remember before we even had the All or Nothing documentary, you were like, they'll just probably skip over that bit and just do one little bit of him getting his captaincy taken away and whatnot. But they spent let's get
fair
play.
Into the super chats. Ice G says, Robbie, still time to pull out of that left back Zinchenko bet. His words, not mine.
Nah, man, listen, I'm still sticking. You got my money ready?
It's sitting in a savings.
He says he's going to play left back. Well, who's got to pull out?
No, he says he's going to play midfield for us.
Yeah, I know. So that means you're going to get the money. See,
I know.
You better get your money.
That guy's assuming he's a
James's
all
brother.
in good time, my friend.
James's brother.
Kevin says the manager said,
if he plays left back this week, that's 2. That's 2 games.
36 to go.
Tighten him up.
He'll send me messages
swear
as
to you,
well.
that's
He
like-
will.
that's two.
Okay, that's two, no?
James will start showing you
One
heat
and
maps and
two.
saying, in this game, he started left back, but if you
Yeah.
see
No,
the
he tried to
heat
do
map-
that last week.
47%
He tried to do that
did.
last week.
I
Look
did.
at his position.
I said, well,
Look at
look
his
at his
inverted inside. No. Listen, he's playing left back.
Yeah.
You're cheeky with your stats.
Kevin says the manager said he looked in Oba's eyes and he lost trust. That's
Oh, he did say
ridiculous.
that.
We need to hear from the player side, something you touched on, but you know, only Arteta can speak on that bit. He told us that's where he felt it was lost. Mark T says Arteta spoke about an emergency team. That mean the players need to be a 24/7. Is he passionate for club? At that point, Arteta said you don't want to be there, then goodbye. I think he's talking about the commitment, essentially, that the players need to show. Thierry Henry, I'm sure it's not the real Thierry Henry. If it is, welcome to AFTV. Says, put this in like a project manager's position. You have a high earner, one of your leading workers, and is delivering substandard performances. You're getting fired on the spot. I mean, we're not fired on the spot.
You wouldn't get fired on the spot.
I understand the whole if you apply it to other levels of work.
Especially if your first 3 years were overperforming or
Yeah,
hitting
you wouldn't
targets.
get fired on the spot. There'd be a lot of which there probably was.
There was.
So,
There'd be a lot of conversations going on about what's happened, why is it dipped, is there a problem behind the scenes, what's wrong, I mean, how comes you were so good and now at the moment, you're so bad, you're poor, you're not training as good. You're turning up late. What's going on? What's wrong?
Yeah.
I would like to have seen some of those sort of things.
This super chat's directed at Turkish, but I'm jump in and defend Turkish immediately. I'm sure you'll have your say.
What are they saying now?
Well, I don't think it's actually not your position. Maybe I'm wrong. Elijah says, "Are you saying he should have compromised his values just to keep Aubameyang Turkish? You are Mr. No Compromise. Keep the energy equal." And I don't think that's what you said. At one
No, you
point.
didn't
I don't
say
know where
that.
he got that
Yeah.
from.
You didn't
Sometimes
say
people
that.
just look at
He
me and
said
then
look
take
at
out
it.
what they want to take out. I never said that. So
Yeah, I didn't think you had.
I actually, back when you asked me, was Mikel Arteta right? I said yes. And then
Exactly.
to touch on it
Yeah,
even more, when he
it's
talks
his-
about cultures and tradition,
Yeah.
and the reason I asked Robbie about Pep and Klopp is because I like that.
Yeah.
Do you think Vieira and Roy Keane's having people coming late into the dressing room, Tony Adams nah, they're not having it. And I know football's changed a lot from back then till now, but you still need that bit of, I wouldn't even call it ruthlessness, I'd call it standards. You
You've
still
got to
need
make
that.
tough decisions as well. Like,
Yeah.
we've seen recently Steven Gerrard at Aston Villa, taking the captaincy off of Tyrone Mings. And I actually think when I saw Steven Gerrard's press conference, I didn't really like the way he
Disrespect.
handled it because I felt like he dissed the player. Whereas if you saw how Arteta did his one, he didn't really. They'd be asking him asking questions, and he'd be just like, "Listen, he's not going to be playing this week," and why? With certain values we have, and we've decided that you got a problem with. He's done great for the club, but
Yeah.
Whereas with the one I saw with Gerrard, where he's sort of like, "Listen, I inherited him." Weren't my choice.
When he looks in my eyes, I'll play him. Or when he looks in my eyes, and I
kind of
see all
looked
that.
at that.
I
and
hear
was
what
like-
you're saying.
I'm like, that's for inside, So.
Well, let's go on to
But
the
if your
Arteta.
documentary, All or Nothing, it
rate
was supposed to be saying
Yeah.
all. Well,
Oh,
cynical.
okay.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes these reporters need to be told as well. Sometimes a little like, if you ask me again, I'm out.
No, he did. Yeah, because he kept
I've
saying.
I've been in a
Very
press
calm.
conference where that's happened, where I was doing work experience, and it was at a high-profile Premier League club. They had to be like, "Listen, if you ask one more time about this, like, he's leaving the press
Yeah,
conference."
Yeah,
I
after
quite like
that.
that.
Well, Fergie used to do it, innit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that famous press conference when Sir Alex Ferguson, someone asked him a really difficult question, and then he was caught on a hot mic saying to like the guy next to him, who's like the ex-press officer, he goes like, "Who's that guy?" And like I said, Turkish, he goes, "Yeah, make sure he's never in a press conference again." And he got caught on the mic saying it.
Yeah, before Turkish at AFTV, he's the journo on the road.
Fergie questions.
Fergie. Interesting use of Roy Keane today. Yeah. Anyway, let's get into the Arteta stuff. I think there was a lot on Arteta in these episodes. It literally starts with him hounding the players for winning, which I liked. And you got a lot of different sides to Arteta, from him at home to Arteta when they're winning to Arteta being calm. My God, you said it in the group chat. That guy needs a cough.
He needs a throat sweet, man.
Yeah, throat sweet. That's it.
His voice was going.
I mean, at one point, Gary O'Driscoll turned to him and went and just started kind of laughing.
He's
He's
like,
like,
"Sounds
your voice. You know. They seem to have a good relationship, the coaching staff. They seem to all be, and I actually feel a lot of them mirror him. Carlos Cuesta looks like a young Arteta, doesn't he? Kind of the way he sits, crosses, and he goes, right, let's talk about who's he with? He was with
Ben
White.
saying you could be,
one
the best centre backs in the world.
He said he's one of the best in the world. I think he said he's the best in the world at anticipating.
And how he reads the
Look, I know a lot of that is you've got to instill that confidence, but also it speaks to where they see his strengths, is you being on the front foot again then. And I would agree that not maybe one of the best in the world, but he's very good at getting in front of his man.
For someone who's not come from a footballing family and said, like, my dad hates football, my mum doesn't watch it, he's mentioned before, he hasn't watched a lot of Arsenal's history. Like, for someone like that to be that good, obviously, I wouldn't say he's the world's best centre back, but to have that level of ability and the dedication to the sport for someone not coming from a family, I have to give it to him. I like that.
Arteta really focuses on building the right team culture, and we've done the whole Aubameyang thing, but this is something I took from it. He said to the subs, I can't remember which game it was, he says good things will happen to those who have smiles on their faces when they didn't play and enjoyed it. And I think you're looking at Leno there, you're looking at Holding, you're looking at a few players. And he said to them, good things will happen for you. He's really trying to instill this, we are all one, you all have a part to play, whether you're on the pitch or not. Did that really speak to you, Robbie?
Yeah. Even since the first episode, that's his ethos is like, we're all in this together. We're a team, and it's very clear who the leader of the team is, and that's him. And I like him as a manager, and even more, I watch his documentary. I so want him to succeed.
Yeah, me too.
Because he's all those things. What he says, he's right. I mean, that it's the ethos. We're a team. We're all in this together, and and win your battles. And you've seen since he's come in now, he's tried to bring the fans closer together to the team, and he places an importance on the fans, and he places an importance on family values and values in general. So I like all that from Arteta, and I think he's come across in this documentary I think the documentary is all about him, right? It literally is like it's about Arsenal, but it's kind of like it's Arteta's journey at Arsenal.
It's trying to indicate why he's the man, why Arsenal put everything into him.
You can see, and I think as well, he has the trust of the hierarchy. You can see that, They like that, for them to back him on that Aubameyang decision, which, financially was an appalling thing to happen to Arsenal, to lose a player, like that, shows you that they back him high up, and they also, the players as well, they have a lot of respect for him, because Aubameyang went, and you could clearly see the players liked Aubameyang, but still after that, there was a good relationship. Lacazette is best friends with Aubameyang, still made captain, still, playing for the manager, So
there's a comment from Jonathan says, Arteta or nothing.
It is all about if you literally watch, so far there's been 6 episodes, it is about Arteta.
Yeah.
Listen,
it's Arteta's journey, more than Arsenal, wouldn't you say?
I
have spotlight on players, but it's heavily with Arteta. I like that he wants to transmit energy, though. That does happen in a lot of clubs. Like, the subs have to be in tune and feel like they're part of it. But I like how much he's on that transmission of energy from fans and making you feel involved, to the coaching staff, to the players. I think that does bode well. I've got to give it to him, though. Not every player. I find it incredible, because not every player can buy into that, to try and make everyone be positive and be on that. That's why there might be. That's why I've got to commend him, but I think there is players in that. Can
I just bring up one other thing about the documentary, right? So again, this is where, I don't know, maybe because I've been around these things, I get a bit sceptical of things, right?
Go on.
The Nuno Tavares thing, when he bought him off after 25 minutes, nothing after that. Nothing in that, it's just,
good point.
He takes him off, that's it. Nothing in the change rooms after. Nothing in, no context. What was Nuno's... they saw him coming to the bench and he was upset. What about after in the change room?
You want all in it. You want every...
No, I'm just saying, if it's all or nothing, these are big moments. That is a big moment. That was a big moment and talking point in the season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Him hauling off, because that was a high-profile FA Cup game. Everyone's watching. They showed the game. They focused on the game. They showed how upset he was at the end. That, nothing on it.
Unless there wasn't that much to it. As in he took him off.
But the
and-
first 3
and that was-
episodes,
The
they
first
touched
3
on
episodes, they
Tavares,
showed,
and there wasn't
like-
much to it. But
Yeah, and they showed even like, you know,
Yeah, it's good.
the same guy you're talking about speaking to
Yeah,
Nuno
yeah.
about you're a new guy, you're young and all that. He hauled him off after 25
But when you think
minutes.
about it, there's
man.
no happy ending for that story. That's why they didn't build on it. If there was a happy ending where, come the end of the season, when Tierney came out, Tavares
Yeah.
comes in, we make top 4. Best believe that's the arc of the
That's
whole.
what I'm saying now. So that's what I'm saying
Yeah,
with
yeah.
documentaries. Just be like these sort of things. Be very careful. They're creating a drama for a thing, and there's certain little bits that they've said, nah, we don't even want to go deep on that, because I would have liked to have seen a bit
Yeah,
more
yeah.
about that.
I want to see more. I wanna see
How
more-
did
yeah.
that? How did that affect the player's confidence? What
Yeah.
was the player like
Yeah.
after that? But you
Because
know?
I want to see more on Pepe, not Casa Pepe. I want to see actually more on Nicolas Pepe. But again, then where's the happy ending to that? There's not
Turkish,
really no arc there.
I want to come to you on Arteta's pre-match speech before the Man City game. Now, there was a lot of ridiculing from rival fans and a lot of laughing about the whole Anfield thing and the speakers. But obviously his speech before Man City. And listen, some people were on different sides of the fence with the Stuart McFarlane thing as well before this Tottenham game. The Man City pre-match speech, what was your feeling around that?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't an easy thing to do via link or stream, whatever it was. But I think the words resonated well. I think he said the right things. He gave the right level of emotion prior to starting the match. I was actually going to say when you and Robbie was talking that I think 9 times out of 10 I've agreed with the tone of every pre-match, post-match or half-time team talk I've seen so far.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, maybe the one being "You'll Never Walk Alone" is the one I don't agree with. But aside from that, I can either see what he's tried to do with the Stuart McFarlane thing, for example, or I'm completely in agreement with the way he is. Like we're winning at half-time against Everton, he still goes in. Pre-match at Man City, the tone was right. Nottingham Forest, the tone was right. So far I'm agreeing with it, because sometimes across last season at half-time I wondered whether he's really doing his best to get these lot up. But you can see, even going into half-time winning, the emotions are high.
Yeah, I loved that pre-match speech against City. He'd been away from the players for 3 days. And there are certain games, I remember going to that game pumped, like as fans, and if you can recreate in that dressing room what the fans out there, the 60,000 watching are feeling, that's when I think you really you're connecting with the players. And I saw the players all kind of huddle round, and he kind of said, look, I've realised how lucky I am to be with you guys. He's kind of playing on the emotion of all that, and then he's saying, like, what does he say? He says, think forward, play forward.
Get in their face.
Get in their face. He pointed at he called it the Emirates, but he meant the Etihad. You remember when you were 3-0 down, they brought Morris and Sterling to humiliate you?
Yeah.
I love all
gotta
that. I'm
use them
getting
moments.
pumped thinking about it. I
have
love
to.
that. I love that, because that's what I was thinking as a fan. I was thinking, I'm still drunk because it was New Year's Day, and I'm thinking, go smash these lot, because I'm sick. And it's when we did that fan cam, I can't remember which one of you interviewed me. I remember saying, Arteta's got me, because the way the team played on that day, despite losing, I took so much heart from it. And I took so much, I get what they're trying to
It's
do.
the best
So
performance of the season.
it was, and we lost. But I really loved that. However, move to half-time. Here's a quote. If you're in a position you're not comfortable in, we have to put them down. Arteta said that at half-time. Now, I don't think the tone was overly aggressive, over the top, but did that stick with the players a little bit? Now, we could be micro-analysing everything here. But what have you got? You've got Xhaka bringing Bernardo Silva down, and you've got Gabriel going into Jesus. Now, listen, ultimately, the players need to keep their heads on a football pitch. It's not on Arteta. But I just wonder whether it was a little bit of a missed opportunity. We don't see the whole thing, granted, just to calm it down, diffuse it a little bit. So you look like you have a few thoughts on it.
No, I'm not going to say. I'm so happy you picked that out, because I wrote that down as well. That quote that he said. I was furious when Xhaka took down Bernardo Silva, and then obviously, Gabriel Jesus was a good bit of skill, but getting that red card. Sometimes they might take things into context too much, but it was such a small comment.
Yeah, it wasn't like he was like, go for them. Yeah,
it's just like, don't bring them down if you have to. He never said that like that. He said it how you read
specific
it.
words. Position you're not comfortable in.
You're not comfortable.
Xhaka, last man in the box, and Gabriel basically in midfield.
Seen that position,
we have to put them down. He's basically saying stop their flow at any.
But you know what?
It's hard for me to.
The Xhaka one was. I don't think he meant to. He didn't hack him down.
No, it was
very,
soft. Yeah.
very soft penalty. Even watching it back, I was like, even the
We should have had one as well. Martin
even the
Odegaard.
second yellow, man. That referee in that game, man. Seriously, that was a very harsh, very harsh yellow. So I wouldn't.
I think the players have to take accountability. It's not, If someone tells me that, I know that it doesn't mean in the box. I know that it doesn't mean be silly or be stupid.
Get sent off, exactly.
It's the smart fouls he's talking about. That's what he means. If you're in an uncomfortable position, foul him. Be smart. It's not smart to foul in the box or foul when you got a yellow card.
Yeah.
When micro-analysing, I'll give it that, because when we see the Tottenham, I don't know if we're going to see it, when Rob Holden took out here, the Son and got recorded. But
I want to hear that.
There might be something in there, that might be like, maybe put, like... I
want to hear that one, because they get, you know what I mean, like Rob Holding came out like he come to fight someone.
Yeah, I don't.
You know what I mean? Like,
He's talked to a lot, clearly.
He comes to beat up Son.
He was,
he really was. But you're right, we're micro-analysing. But it's just an interesting quote.
They kept it in
before what kind of transpired. You talked about his tone and agreeing with 9 out of 10 of them. I'm with you. And it's also the way he mixes them up. Sometimes he's quiet, he's calm, he's saying, listen, sometimes he's getting them pumped, sometimes he does other things. I really liked before Liverpool when he said, you know, great night out, what's it look like? You know, I remember meeting my wife, and he's actually almost relaxing them before. I quite like that. Arsenal played well that game as well.
There were some smiles in the change room then.
Yeah, there were. People laughing. It kind of
to,
diffused it a little bit. I quite like that. He comes back after 3-4 days away, whatever it is, and the first thing he does, or in portrayal, the first thing he does is get the players together and go, if I had been here, 4 or 5 of the players, you'd been sent home for the way you performed in training, you know, in that first 15 minutes. He then relates to that in the Forest game. He said, I saw it, I knew it. These are little things that can be, again, dressed up very, very well. You know, you get so much footage. But it points to, when Tierney has said in previous interviews, he'll go, you know, the manager, he tells you what's going to happen, he knows, blah, blah. That was him foreseeing a moment of, you lot don't look at it at the moment.
No, I like that when he. Sorry, but I know the moment was against Forest when he mentions that he's seen it in training.
Yeah.
He's seen that they don't really want it and so on. Listen, I love that. You got to put the accountability on them sometimes. Okay, in front of the media, you take it on yourself. I get that. I get that approach. But behind the scenes, I need to be seeing that. The players need to be held accountable, because Wenger, for me, didn't really hold players accountable. He was very much, you know, in front of the media, he'll take the brunt of it. With the players, it seemed like he'll take the brunt of it. With the financials, he'll take the brunt of it. With Arteta, what we're seeing is, all right, in front of the media, he'll talk the talk. He's a very good talker. But behind the scenes, he's got a good balance to the tone he sets and the messages he delivers, in my opinion. I think, listen, you got to call man out. Can't be losing to Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup. The FA Cup is ours. You know, through one of our worst periods in history, we've still managed to get FA Cups.
Yeah.
We are the most successful team in that competition. I know it doesn't have the same standing as it once did, but Arteta knows what it means to us. He won it with us.
He referenced it.
So for me, that's bang on. Yes, we want Premier League and Champions League, but that doesn't mean forget about this. This is ours as well.
Yeah. How do you feel about it?
Puts a lot of pressure on his players, and I love that. He says, what he say in training is exceptional, good, and then he said, shouldn't even be here. That's the levels, and there was only 4 players, like you said, that were exceptional. It's a lot. It's a lot to come in every day and him demand that level of perfection in training and then go out on the pitch and replicate. It's a lot for a player, but I want to hear that as a fan. That's what we want to see. We want to see our manager setting the standards that high. I've loved Arteta throughout this. I know it's Arteta pretty much the Arteta documentary, but I really have enjoyed it, and I'm liking to see. I like seeing how much he demands from his players. It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah. Did you like that moment? I mean, I like the way he was calm. You know, well, calm but stern. Said, you boys better raise it. And then when it doesn't transpire on the pitch, then he goes in.
No,
Walks out of the strop.
Yeah, he's right as well. You know what I mean? Like Turkish said, you know what I mean? The standards have to be high. You're playing at Arsenal Football Club, right? If you want to come and like mess around in training, you're at the wrong club. I like what he's instilling there, and you're starting to see it. We're seeing it now. We're starting to see the fruits of that, and you know, there were players at that club that needed to go because they probably stuck in an old way of doing. That's the thing sometimes. You'll have people that they're stuck in an old way of doing things, or the previous guy how he did things, and they just can't adapt to this new way of thinking. That the guy's ultra intense, and every training session has to be intense and you play it like you're playing a game. And then if you do that, it will replicate onto the pitch. So I love that.
Let's go through some comments and super chats. Where was it here? O'Malley says, Richard Garlick showing why he is head of the club. I wouldn't say he was head of the club, but yeah. Danny says, why did they cut out bottling the Spurs game in January?
Have they got to that game yet?
Yeah, with the all
Have they
happening.
got to that?
Yeah, so we're
they
well
Because
past
yeah,
all
because
that.
you know, I would have thought they would have mentioned that as well, because remember it was because of COVID. We didn't, you know, they spoke about how we did all the COVID checks and it enabled us to play the Leeds game. So I would have thought they would have spoken about that. But maybe when they play Tottenham later on down, they'll mention.
I think it's quite telling that when it was coming up to the Leeds game, I think someone said, listen, we're in good form, we want to play. When we came up to the Tottenham game, we didn't have a midfield, we wasn't in good form.
Yeah, we hadn't scored a goal.
It was better, we did push that back. But in hindsight, you look at Tottenham, they didn't have Son available at that time.
They weren't as good.
So, you know, and we lost out on top four the way we did. Maybe it was the wrong thing to do, and I think maybe we did maneuver
You said it earlier,
things around.
happy ending, right?
Yeah.
Maybe if we'd then gone out with a full team, played well, won that, then maybe there'd have been a little bit more reference to it.
Of course, 100%.
But yeah.
Can I ask just quickly, would these team talks, which one would resonate with you most? Because some of these I feel like you might be like, what's man talking about? But Rob, I know you said the Man City one for you. I've seen the clip for the next one is like the light bulb, GCSE science and the circuit. And
Oh yeah.
No,
but I like that because he's making his point. Yeah, when they showed that one, you know, he's making his point. He said the light bulb without the energy,
the shit won't show.
it won't light up. You know what I mean? It's just a dead thing. So I like the fact that he uses some of these analogies.
Yeah, I'd be like,
this is
why has the man got a light bulb?
Yeah, they're quite different. So the Man,
The Man City one, just get me pumped. Get me wanting to go.
Rob, you want the light
It's
bulb,
different
yeah?
things for different moments, isn't it?
Yeah.
I feel, you know what I mean? I like that. You have a variety. You can't just come into the change room every time and
course.
just get out there and fucking kill him. You know what I mean? You can't just do that every game. You got to have a different. You got to mix it up, have a variety. You know what I mean? So I like that. I like
that and the Spurs one. Sorry,
Go on.
just the Spurs one when we won the North London derby, and he said to them, focus on your head, your heart, the rest you know it, because he was so concise and made a point in so few words. That I was like, wow, yeah, that was.
The only thing I ain't like so far, them speakers, man. I still ain't ever in Liverpool.
Let it go, man.
The Liverpool speakers, bro. You know what I mean? Everything else he's done, right, has been fine. I've liked all the innovations and that, but that speaker thing, man. Oi.
What about you two? What's the one that?
Did you see people joking before Palace on Friday?
Yeah, you're going to play Glad all over.
He's going to have an
With the
eagle
speakers,
flying. Look, fair enough.
I don't know. In terms of the ones that stick out to me, it's Everton half time and Nottingham Forest full time. For me, reason being because that's
Forest full time, I like that
that's
one.
standard.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to give it to man.
Yeah.
You've got to stick it on them, man.
He didn't care that. Listen,
There's youngsters in
Patino was there. There was young. He didn't care because you shouldn't care.
Yeah, and he stormed out. He was vexed.
Yeah, he did
And
storm
you saw
out.
the players, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, he wanted to grab that thing and throw it at them.
yeah,
I know that feeling, but he just grabbed it and just hit it down and walked off.
Yeah.
He wanted to launch that.
he wanted to, yeah.
I'll tell you the other thing you pick up in these things, right, is how tiny the away change rooms are.
Yeah.
You know, you see like Arsenal's
Yeah,
one, their
it's
home
true.
one, it's massive, the badge in front of it. And
Except for Everton's. Everton's away was huge.
yeah, Everton's away was
I was like, what?
Was it Villa's away one was all right? Was it Villa's one?
That was quite.
But a lot of them,
that
man, they're
wrong,
just
yeah.
tiny, like a squeeze up thing.
Forest's
You
one's
know what I mean?
tiny.
You know what else I noticed from that Forest game? I saw someone, it's like when Arteta was kind of facing most, I saw someone with a beard in the background looking depressed. I was like, who is that? And it was like a couple of minutes. I was like, it's Kolasinac. I was like, he played? Yeah, he looked absolutely distraught.
Ramsdale as well, again, looking really upset.
Well, that was the big one.
He should have saved that goal as well. And
The
he was,
Brentford game,
yeah.
He was distraught about that.
Yeah, I saw Troops tweet, Ramsdale gets it. And I came away with that kind of feeling, actually, with that Ramsdale moment. Everyone, Lacazette saying, listen, don't worry, we won that game, actually. And he was really, really let down by clean sheets matter.
I kind of like that because, you know, in football, they say, win your personal battles as well. It's a team game, but you've also got, and he'll look on it and say, right, we won the game, but I let myself down there. I should have saved that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't see any strikers sitting there after thinking, should have scored that chance, which is quite interesting.
I think there will be some strikers. I think the real top strikers would be like that.
I agree.
They'd be distraught for missing certain chances.
Yeah.
And then be back out on the training ground on the Monday working on that
Well, Laka
specific.
looked a bit that way, didn't he?
Yeah, you know what I mean? But, you know, I mean, that's what I want to see. That's.
Yep. Anthony says, best part of the doc is when Arteta was at home and watched 15 plus videos of training and criticised the players who didn't train properly and went at them. We have touched on that, yeah, absolutely right. Rizwan says, letting go of Aubameyang without replacing him is criminal, but what really costs us top fours are red cards and injuries to big players. Big season ahead.
Yeah.
Come
How
on,
many times have we seen in the documentary players walking
Red
into
card,
the change rooms?
Gabriel, Xhaka, Martinelli.
On their own, on their own, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Red cards, man.
Yeah.
5.
Mad.
5.
Sinethemba says, I love that about Ramsdale. He wants the best, and I completely agree. RF says, what did you guys think of Martinelli? There's a really nice quote from Steve Round. I've got it here. He trains every day like it's his last day on earth. He said he loved him.
Yeah, and we see it on the pitch, don't we? We saw it on the pitch.
so
I've been sort of saying my challenge to him is that we need more goals now. That's the only thing. You got everything else. He's one of the most exciting players. Everyone loves watching him, but he needs to score more. So I was so happy that he got his goal, got off the mark on Friday last week. I don't know. I've got a feeling he's going to score quite a few goals this year.
I hope so. Steve Round had a few really good moments, I thought, in these few episodes. One of them being with Lacazette. If I'm right, and I'll have a little Google just while I'm getting your thoughts, but Steve Round's, been at some big clubs. I think he was at Everton, maybe Man United as well. So he's no stranger to what he's got to do.
Sorry,
what's going on.
I just wanted to come back on Martinelli, right? How humble a kid he was as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he said, it ain't about money and them things. It's about. He said, I come from a poor family, and his thing is all about the game, the football. He's not bothered about all them other things. He wants to be a successful football player. I just loved his attitude and everything, man. And yeah, we already loved him. I loved him more after watching that documentary. I was like, man, it's like that's the attitude.
I agree. Steve Round has been an assistant at Everton, Newcastle, Manchester United, Derby, and a director of football at Villa. So listen, this is a guy with a wealth of experience. And what did you make of his one-to-one with Lacazette?
Well, I think all of us could have had the same one-to-one with Lacazette because we was all saying the same thing here pretty much throughout the whole season. Yeah. Not necessarily. Listen, we knew Laka's limitations. And Laka's time at Arsenal was very up and down, but what he did manage to do at the end was give us something that Oba couldn't. And that something was dropping in, helping link up play, but that would cost him chances in the box, getting at the end of things. Yes, he was talked to about it, but he just didn't have the physical capacity to do it anymore. Whereas with Jesus, we're already seeing him do what Laka was doing, but also getting on the end of things in the box. Obviously, he's younger, he's more hungry, he's more determined. So it's good to see that they're highlighting, they're talking. They've done similar with Emile Smith-Rowe in the first 3 episodes where you're seeing that one-on-one interaction. Laka needed it. It's nice to see it happened. It didn't pay dividends for us in the end, but that's exactly what needs to be happening. One-to-one. The team is all good and well, but the one-to-ones need to happen here and there throughout a season.
I agree. Guys, we are an hour into this and we still got a little bit more to talk about. Before we do, smash a like on this video if you are enjoying our reviews. We will be back again next Thursday at the same time.
How many episodes come out next Thursday?
3, so that will round it all off. So, one more week of staying up till 5 a.m. I was up till 4:30.
But Amazon Prime, was you refreshing 1 a.m., 1:01 a.m., 1:02, 1:03?
It said it wasn't available to watch.
So the trick was apparently to go on to episode 3 and it would carry you straight on to episode 4. But I started like 20 past 1. I was cleaning the apartment.
I watched it at 6 this morning.
Did you?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I did Transfer Daily.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
Are you there?
Like Arteta says, you know what I mean? Hard work, intensity, you know what I mean?
Why did I say anything?
And who was the first one to hit me? Right, you lot all late, you know what I mean? See, I didn't want to diss Aubameyang.
We're the Aubameyangs of AFTV. Yeah. When we're gone, it'll be because of these moments. As I say, guys, smash a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet.
Soft! You're soft!
I can't even get through promoting the channel properly. I can't even promote the channel without.
That's my favourite part of it when you do that.
Flipping, trust me, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, man, like that.
No, it's good. It's really good to see that side of him. Let's talk about the personal side. We've got a little bit of this as well, actually. We touched on the Martinelli Edu discussions. I really like that. I really like the idea. Saka going round with the Santa hat and the beard, giving out presents to the rest of the staff. I really like the idea of a close-knit community, between not just players and manager, but, whoever cleans the boots, whoever does the admin, whoever does whatever these uber important roles around the club. I think. No, I was going to reference something, but I might have got it wrong anyway. I think all those things are important to see, but important for everyone in the job they're doing at a club, and it was nice to see that. We also got a bit of time with the families. Granit Xhaka and his family. What did you make of that kind of segment, Rob?
Yeah, I think we've kind of seen a lot of Granit Xhaka and families and stuff like that before, innit? So it was nothing new. But listen, nice that he's just to show a different side of him. But it didn't really come with nothing new because we kind of seen a few sort of things like with Xhaka and his sort of family before. So yeah.
Well, we got to see.
Show the softer side.
We got to see him at home. There were a few quotes where he said, "You guys see us for 90 minutes, and you judge who we are off that."
Yeah. Having met him, he's a nice guy, and so he is
Lee
right.
says the same.
Yeah,
Lee judges says the
is.
same. Did we? But as Robbie's mentioned, he's done quite a few interviews in the last 6 months to a year that I didn't feel like I was learning much more. It was just not. Listen, I'll always like seeing a family man with his kids and his wife and all that. That's always nice to see. Do you take any more from that, Turkish?
Yeah, it's nice to see. I mean, I've heard he's a nice guy already many times. He seems it. He seems a family man. That's the right way to be, humble. That's all good. It's just that he doesn't get it in terms of what fans like me are for. I don't judge who he is off 90 minutes on the pitch. I judge his footballing ability off 90 minutes on the pitch. Now, some fans do take that away and then it crosses the line and it's abusive or it is personal. But there are fans that just believe that you're not good enough in terms of being a footballer for Arsenal Football Club. And that's where the lines have been blurred across the last couple of years. But as a man, I don't know him. But from what I see, he looks like he's a good man, good morals, humble, head down. He wants to work hard. But when it comes down to his footballing ability, that's not going to change my perception of him not being good enough for Arsenal.
Sess?
Turkish just summed it up. I mean, that's literally it. That's what we do as fans. We judge your footballing ability and listen, praise to players making it to Premier League is probably one of the most difficult things that you can do. So there's always a respect there for me personally, also being a player as well and understanding that. But yeah, no, that's it when it comes to judging ability. But seeing his family side, I think they do that in most documentaries. We see that. You can go online and watch loads of documentaries. They always go back to the family. I did like they go into Mikel's and find out, this is really random, but his son's called Gabby as well. I was just like there's so many Gabbys. Like he must, when he's thinking about Gabby and Gavin in his house, that must get so confusing.
Was Gabby the goalkeeper? Because I'm not being funny, sign him up. He was good. Honestly.
Don't, because don't start saying that, because they probably will do that. No, Edu will be like, hey, you see that? You see you got him? Yeah, bring him in. But no, I did like that, and obviously showing Arteta, like I said, they always show the family side, but showing Arteta's partner saying like it's really hard to get him to switch off and take him out of that bubble. From what you see from Arteta, it must be a task doing that, because he seems like he is obsessed with this club.
Big up Arteta as well, making jerk chicken, man. You know what I mean?
What? On the
said making jerk
chicken. You see? Arteta do some jerk there. You know?
Ramsdale's probably coming over, you know, he loves me.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? Yeah. I really enjoyed the segment with Lorena and that quote you mentioned. Life is going on outside the bubble, is what she said, and she said football. People get so emotional about it. She wasn't saying that's necessarily wrong. She was kind of just stating kind of the heat it can get to. And then someone said, people can want him sacked. She went, sacked? If you want him dead? Like she was, she was like, it can get so vile. Did any of this? And I like to think we're very fair parents. Did any of this kind of make you consider a little bit, I guess, like how cutting criticism can be, even on a footballing level? Forget the personal stuff. Even how cutting your criticism can be on a footballing level. Did it make you guys think about that at all?
No,
not really. I mean, listen. I've spoken to many an ex-footballer, man, and they know criticism comes with the territory. You're going to get praise to the hilt when you do well. You're going to get criticised, when you don't do well. They know the score. They criticise. Look at Ramsdale. He's self-critical, right? If you came out of a game after winning 2-1 after that 2-1 victory over Brentford, and you spoke to fans, nobody would have mentioned, oh, you know what, Ramsdale should have saved that. They'd just be talking about the positives because we won the game.
Yeah.
But for him personally, he's criticising himself.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I should never have let that in. He can't. He's beside himself. So there it explains it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the pressure they put on themselves.
I think
massive,
what's always wrong is like, when it turns into abuse and online abuse and things. That is different to criticism.
Absolutely.
So
No, it's huge. Like I just said, they put pressure on themselves. Arteta put so much pressure on them from the way they turn up, their body language. There was a training session where he said, it has to be perfect or we start again. They don't need... Criticism comes with the territory when you're a footballer, and they can switch off from us. And I remember one of the players said, I only care about the opinions of my manager and my family. So more time, what we say, I think we're very fair, like you said as well. I think we're a fair panel when it comes to criticism on their performances. I think I wouldn't disagree with how we portray our opinions. I think it's fair.
It's just interesting, when they talk about the emotion side. Sometimes the morning after, my thoughts are more considered than the night of the
100%.
game. But that's just the nature of things.
sometimes mine are worse.
That's also true.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're
I'll
like,
tell you,
oh, that
there's
was...
many a time I watch it back around and I think, geez, man, I let these men off lightly.
Yeah.
What was that?
What did you make of kind of getting the access to Arteta's home and what he's like, the family man, all that? Nice to see again.
Shall I be honest? I've never cared about all of that stuff. I care about them as footballers.
Sure.
I've got my own family, my own friends, my own people. I care about them. I care about us in terms of private lives. I don't care about Arteta's private life, Xhaka's private life. When I grew up in football, there was no social media, so all you cared about was the football. The 90 minutes, week in, week out. Sometimes you'll get an interview or a headline in the back page of a paper. Cool, that's it. Now I just think people and fans and supporters are way too invested into these men's lives. Like, they're footballers. But at the same time, some of these footballers don't help themselves by promoting their lives. So there's a balance to it all. I just think there's a very sensitive nature to people nowadays. So all of this, like, you can show emotion, and of course you can show. Men can show emotion, cool. But at the same time, when you're a professional, sometimes you've got to hone that emotion. You've got to be professional. You've got to learn from it. You could build your character off of it. So for me, I don't really care too much about private lives. It's nice to see, and like I said with Xhaka, I'm sure Arteta's a good man. I'm sure he's got good morals. He looks like a family man and so on. But that doesn't really benefit me in any way, shape or form. It doesn't benefit Arsenal in any way, shape or form. What does is football. So that's all I care about.
Are we understanding these players and the manager more, though? Because that's one of the things that the fans... If we're talking about the documentary having a genuine benefit for Arsenal and the club in any way, it's about how we understand. Now, I've heard that Leicester this weekend sold out, and I think some of the upcoming home games as well sold out immediately. People are buying into what they're seeing. A lot of it's driven by results and performances, absolutely. But if there's something that gives the fans that extra bit of energy, that extra bit of support, that extra bit of something, it's understanding. It's knowing what they're behind. And I think the documentary is not fully, but giving us just enough of that, where I feel like I'm getting to know these people.
This documentary, as we said earlier, is wonderful for Arteta, I think. It's portrayed him, it portrays him very well, and I think more people will be supportive of him after this documentary. I think he's the big winner of this documentary.
Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Are you guys getting more? Are you buying into Arteta more because of it?
I like him more.
Yeah.
Because I'm starting to see a bit more about him. Some of the questions are being answered in terms of his standards, his emotions, his ability in the dressing room. So yeah, I've warmed towards him more for sure.
Also the young players as
well.
But
it comes down to the pitch again. Everything for me comes down to the 90 minutes, week in, week out. Family life, disciplinaries, documentaries. I don't really care too much. Yeah, go out and win.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
I know you had to say, I know. But yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot more. And like I said, the young players as well. We just spoke about Gabby, how humble he is, and these things we don't get to see. I like to see how players really are as well. As much as it can be fabricated, you can see that's what's honest and what's true. Ramsdale, how distraught he is when he's not making saves. Like, I like that side. I'd like to see that human side. I know Turkish wants to see the
But sometimes
it brings you closer.
Ramsdale's a good example. Sometimes it's a little thing like when he lets in a goal, and I'm like, fucking Ramsdale, how have you let that in or whatever? Yeah. Sometimes it's that. I know he's feeling this too because I've seen him feel this. Yeah. So sometimes those little things maybe.
That changes things, yeah.
But all right, guys, we're coming towards the end. Let's get through the last comments, super chats, and then we're going to do some takeaways. So while I'm reading them out, have a little think of any final takeaways you guys want to bring to the table. Kilua is bigging up the Big Six show. Obviously, you can check that on Turk's channel. Dave says, just got thumped by Everton and lost 3 in a row. Captain on 350 grand a week who was playing crap for 18 months, decides to skip training, no defending that. So we know where Dave stands on all that. Mark says, just watch the under-21 highlights. Marquinhos, though, is a proper player. His pace is ridiculous. I believe he's quicker than Martinelli. I heard he did well in that game. What else is everyone saying? Sorry, I had some comments I don't want to miss. Someone's actually asking Cecil if you can join Love Island next year. I don't really know what that's got to do with Can we get an exclusive?
Unfortunately not. Sorry, guys.
A lot of people saying facts, well said. A lot of people agreeing with what you were saying, Turkish on the whole. It's about the pitch. Rabba says if really Arteta wants to copy Guardiola's style, that is good. So he's happy for him to implement, I think, on a tactical way. But I love to rewatch actually the City one and see how they compare in terms of style. Mohammed's asking if Robbie's now a Chelsea fan. I assume because Aubameyang's going.
He's his lawyer today. So.
Chelsea, he's going to look weird at Chelsea, isn't he?
Oh, that'll burn.
He's going to look weird. But how? It just shows how good I keep saying how good our business was in bringing in Jesus. You know, I'm looking at Chelsea now. They're going for Aubameyang, which is an ultra short-term fix. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Man United were going for Arnautovic. You know, just go again. That was Arteta. Is Arteta's relationship with Jesus why he came? So
yeah, it's weird to see us not panicking in this one.
Yeah, we're not panicking. Other teams are panicking.
Yeah, it is nice. Right, takeaways. Turkish. Any sort of final thoughts?
No, I just bring on the next 3 episodes. Really, let's see how Arteta dealt with the season ending and that change around in fortunes. The Tottenham game, the Newcastle game. I think the Newcastle game for me, I'm looking forward to seeing the behind the scenes of that than I am Tottenham, because Tottenham's one thing, it went horribly wrong, but that Newcastle performance for me, we just mentioned the Man City one, probably the best one of the season. The Newcastle was the worst one of the season, and to come with the second last game, it was the rest was history. We know what happened. So yeah, let me see the next 3.
Tess?
Takeaway. Just let me know what you see. Rabbit or duck?
Duck, I'm on board. I'm there, I'm with you, Mikel.
Are we thinking the same? What are you saying?
I'm with you.
Yeah, it's a duck still.
It's a duck?
Who sees rabbit? Because the ears would be weird. It's a duck.
No, from this side.
No, from this side.
From this side.
No, I know, but don't the ears look weird? It looks like an ear on top of the other ear rather than one on the right and left.
Look at James analysing the
picture. You get what I'm saying? If you break it down, right, let's look at the heat map.
Check out Tactical Insight tomorrow, where James and Graham are going to break down that picture.
A rabbit or a duck? What did he mean by this? How is this? Takeaways is I'm really enjoying it. We did ratings, didn't we, before? I don't know if you had that in your show plan, but I'm at a 9 after these 3 episodes now.
I did not have that in my show plan, so yes. We're rating it so far. So we'll come to you in your takeaway. So it's a 9.
I'm enjoying it.
What are we rating here?
How about just the 3 episodes, then we'll rate it all together at the end.
You did the first 3 episodes, you rated it 5.
Yeah. So what are you rating these 3?
7.
7.
Yeah, I'll give it a 7 as well.
Yeah. Any takeaways?
Takeaways, yeah, listen, it's an insight. It's an insight into what goes on. It's a drama. It's a very managed, put together.
Say any EastEnders, Rob.
Well, it's not exactly EastEnders, but it's kind of what I thought it was going to be. But on the other hand, it's nice to see an insight, like what Turkish said. It's nice to see an insight. It's nice to see that the players really care. It's nice to see what you can see that Arteta's trying to build something. So that side of it's been really good. Yeah. And I think, there was a lot of people really worried about this documentary, thinking that, oh my God, it's going to make us look stupid. It's going to be embarrassing. We really not. I think the documentary, in particular, really shines a light on Arteta and makes him look, shows him that this is a real young, progressive manager, still finding his way, but he's got something about him, and so I think it's been good.
All right, my rating, I'll give it an 8. I've really enjoyed it. And listen, it was almost 3 hours worth of content up till 4:30 in the morning. And I didn't feel tired. I didn't feel like, you know, it kept me engaged the whole way through. Couple takeaways, just final things I wanted to touch on from the 3 episodes. Mikel's intensity, I think you kept saying it, they kept mentioning the small group. I think across a wider group that works. When it's a small group constantly receiving the same, not the same message because he mixes it up, but that constant intensity, you know, from game to game, whatever. I think when he adds to the squad, he mentioned wanting 20 to 22 players in those episodes, he'll benefit more from that. I think these have been the best 3 episodes and will be the best 3 episodes. I don't think the next 3 are going to be as good because I think these shined a light on a very key part of the season with key moments.
Well, I don't know, man. For me, that end part is more key.
But
we missed out on the top 4.
I agree.
I want to see. To me, this is the most. That last. I'm really going to want to see what the conclusion is.
But because Arsenal don't come out of it looking that great from those 3, I think it's going to be more watered down. That's why I think
how are they
these
going to
3.
do that though?
Look at the first 3, right? There wasn't that much to shout about from the first 3, and so it was fairly watered down. I think these 3.
I mean, you can say. I don't know.
We're going to see the Nketiah arc in the last 3. From nothing, he comes in, he's something.
Yeah. The thing is about it, James, you say that, we lost our first 3 games of the season.
Exactly, they weren't great. We didn't get that much.
Yeah, so I mean, to me, if, you know, I want to see, that, you know, that's what I'd like to see, but yeah, you're right, it's a drama, so.
Yeah. My third takeaway is that we got our first look at Tim Lewis, which was just interesting, because he's a cronky man who's kind of almost like overseeing and reports back to them. I quite liked him, he was just quite like, you know, I don't tell Mikel how to do the football.
I liked his bit.
Yeah, I just do that, and I quite like that. I think you've got to have people who know their roles and know what they're there to do. So I quite enjoyed sort of meeting him for the first time. And then the last 2 are on Ben White. Half time, man sent off. He was the one who came in, really like, come on. And I like that he was up for the fight, and you saw it in his performance that game. And the last thing, Arteta calls him Ben. So I'm going to stop apologising every time I say Ben and not Benjamin. And everyone's in the comments saying he wants to be Benjamin White. Arteta calls him Ben. So if the boss calls him Ben, that's enough for me.
That's it.
That's it.
Blanco.
Yeah. All right, guys, we'll round off there if there's not more anyone wants to mention. All right, guys, a big thank you to everyone in the comments as well. Thank you for your super chats. Thanks for your contribution to this. Hope you enjoyed the live review. As we said, we'll be live at the exact same time next week for episodes 7, 8 and 9, which... Again, how much are we going to get is kind of all part of the debate. We've already seen a little preview with the light bulb and the Saka taking the penalty. You already see that story arc, so it'll be interesting how that goes. But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed it, smash a like on this video. Check out all the content coming out later, including the Forever Arsenal podcast, which is out in half an hour, so I'm not leaving you waiting for content. All right, we'll leave it there. Big thanks. Catch you on the next one.